Hello, and welcome to this episode of My Spectrum Life podcast. My name is Jessica. I'm an autism mom, and with me tonight is my co host, Kelsey. Hello, Kelsey.
How are
How are
you?
you? Doing
Doing
good. How
pretty
are you?
doing pretty good.
With us tonight, we have a special guest, Ashley. Hey, Ashley, how are you doing tonight?
I am well. How about you guys?
Hanging in there, hanging in there.
Hanging in
Yes,
there.
That is life right now, right?
it is definitely.
Well, before we get into the meat of the show, um, we wanted to talk about just a quick couple of things. Last week, we kind of introduced our term of the week.
Mhm.
And so we actually are going to stick with that term.
That is
Do you remember what it was, Kelsey?
comorbidity, and
Comorbidity, yes.
it
That's
means multiple diagnosis.
I know it sounds I never really liked that word, but it's really crazy when you go into a doctor's office or you go into something, some sort of technician's office and you talk about the comorbidity of your diagnoses or symptoms and such. They kind of tend to look at you a little bit like, oh, this person knows what they're doing. Yes.
Yes.
So, this will come into play a little later. So, but I guess let's go ahead and get right into the meat of this. So Ashley, we have, let's see, you have a son with sensory issues, correct?
Correct. Yes.
Tell us a little bit about that journey to get your diagnosis and all that entailed.
For sure. I love sharing our story. So I have a son whose name is Boone, and he's 8 years old now. And about when he was 11 months, I found myself in the doctor's office, and I had made an appointment because he screamed all day long. And he's my youngest, so I have two other older kids, and I had been a nanny pretty much my whole life before,
Mm-hmm.
I like growing up. And so I was really familiar with just kids and in general, and I just knew just something was off. So I just remember the nurse looking at me and saying, "So why are you here today?" And I just started crying, and I just was like, "I don't know, but like it's so hard. He screams all day long. He's
Mm,
so angry. Like something's just not right." My mom gut
right.
tells me. So it took us a little bit. I started reading, researching,
Mm-hmm.
and then probably about a year later, we finally asked for a speech evaluation.
Mm-hmm.
And that's when ended up going and getting a speech evaluation because I just knew he should at least be being understood by people other than us. And
Right.
so we went in and he was evaluated, and I'm kind of thankful, but he completely lost it just like he did at home. Because a lot of times, as many of you know,
Mm-hmm.
sometimes it's fine when you're in
Yeah.
public and nobody believes the horror stories from home.
Uh-huh.
But we did have an occupational therapist that was walking by and just kind of paid attention to the cry and just said, "Is this
Mm-hmm.
something you guys would be interested in learning more about?" And from there, had so much help. That's
Oh,
kind of
that's
the
awesome.
beginning of our story.
Mm-hmm.
But so thankful for the team of people that have helped us get this far.
That's amazing. Sometimes I, I I personally, that would be to me one of those God moments to have that
Oh, for
OT
sure.
For
walking by right
sure.
then.
Oh, yeah, completely. I mean, we look
Um,
back and we're good friends now, and it's a beautiful story.
that's awesome. We, gosh, I'm trying to remember. We've spent from the age of 6 to 11 and a half, no, 10 and a half maybe in OT, but we still, Curtis with his sensory processing, still needs a lot of help. One of the things that we're thankful for is through his online virtual school, he receives occupational therapy
That's great.
because, shock of all shocks, he's going into the seventh grade and they finally figured out that there's a problem with his handwriting.
Oh,
Like,
yes.
it's one of those,
Oh, that's
you
so good.
think?
Yeah.
But it's always interesting when you have to have them evaluated by an outside organization and then try to bring that into the school system
Right.
to see if they'll help you there with some of the things. So many times, I don't know if you just Now, does your son have to do any OT in school now, or is he
He
good?
doesn't. He has a 504 plan. So
Uh-huh.
that is basically a way that they can help him when he
Hmm.
needs help. And so he is able to go to their occupational therapy room if he needs it. But he doesn't visit that often. But I'm so thankful
That's
for the
good.
help and for the communication, because I think that's key
Hmm.
with educators, is just to have that communication. And
Hmm.
because every child is so different, and what is successful for them and also what bothers them, and
Right.
what kind of sets them off is so different. So we've had just a great experience with.
I know teachers love you as a parent. I'm just saying.
Well, I love teachers, that's for sure. So my job, I feel like, is to help them succeed with my kid as much as I possibly
Can
can.
we
It's not
multiply
it's
you?
their job. I would love to be multiplied, I guess. I'm a huge teacher fan, So
Uh, I I don't know if I told you before, Ashley. Kelsey actually works now as a special ed teacher.
I do.
we
Um,
love you so much. Thank you so much.
Thank
yes.
you.
We
Yes.
wish she would have, Curtis would have been able to go to her classroom, but
Yeah,
we were in different school districts and everything. So,
for
And I
sure.
but
teach a different level.
yeah, yeah. So, um, now with, tell me a little bit about your oil journey, your essential oil journey.
Ah,
Then,
for sure. So right around when Boone was probably 11 months old is
hmm
when it was kind of disconnected. We started looking at essential oils. I'm a huge skeptic. I never in a million years thought they would work at all. I
uh-huh.
was the person in the class rolling my eyes. But my older son kept getting sick. And so he had strep 4 times in 2 months. He was in
Wow.
kindergarten.
Wow.
And we tend to be a pretty healthy, naturally minded family. Essential
Hmm.
oils wasn't something I had dived into yet. But so it kind of just piqued my interest, is like, why, like, my friend was using it, she was using it on her kids, she got great success, and so I just finally was like, fine, I'll go and learn. And
Hmm.
it took me a little bit to get started, and I highly suspected them not to work. Like, I was that person that was like, I'll try them so I don't have to think about them anymore. And then slowly they just started working over and over. So then as a
Wow.
mom, I started getting really interested in why. And so that's when I kind
Hmm.
of dove into the scientific part of it, because it's interesting to me that we might have a lot of what we need in plants as a first
Hmm.
response.
Hmm.
So I always talk about how I'm not a doctor. Like, these
Yeah.
don't treat, cure, heal, but they are what we use first in our family for a first response, and we go
Hmm.
on from there if need be. But a lot of times they work in those first steps, and I'm so thankful. And it makes sense to me that we would have what we need for lots of minor things from the earth. And
Right.
so we love them. We use them all the time. I've been teaching for 7 years now,
Wow.
and really just started teaching because I saw them work. And I did not know I had options. I didn't know I had natural options for some
Hmm.
of the things that we just deal with on a daily basis around here.
Right.
And so to really to have those natural options and to teach others about them, that's what makes me
Yeah.
so excited, because I believe that everybody should at least know that they have an option, and then they can choose.
Yeah. Hmm. I know that was one of the things that has kind of drawn me into oils too, is that it was an option, and I was also looking for something that would just help with some of the symptoms that I just couldn't get any help with,
Right.
or the side effects from some of my medication, my prescribed
Mm.
medications that I just didn't, you know, I have a condition where, I have chronic pain, fatigue, all that all the time. And I've got prescriptions at the wazoo. I couldn't find anything that could help until, recently with essential oils. So,
I love that. It's amazing. I feel like
hmm
everybody has to have their own experience, because I could
yeah.
sit here and teach about it all day long. But
Hmm.
until you have a positive experience with them, that's when they catch your attention. You're like, wait a minute, is this really happening? And then then it's just amazing. And two, like, I have hundreds of people on my team that I educate. And one of the biggest blessings of doing this is being able to journey with other people. And so there's just success story after success story that I get to hear and get to share with other people. And that is just the most glorious part, is seeing everybody have such positive successes. And then you just have this massive catalog of success stories. And it's just a joy. It's a blessing and a joy for sure.
How do you use your oils with Boone?
Yes. Okay. So I think one of the biggest keys, especially when you're working with sensory issues, is to pay attention to the child, because they're going to know if they like it or if they don't. And
almost immediately.
Yes. And I feel like it's a respect issue. There's so many oils, and I won't go deep into this, but so many oils have some of the same compounds in them that can do similar things. Okay. So if your child doesn't like some of the things that I might mention tonight, there's always other options of oils that smell different, that have different compounds in them. So or some of the same, they will do the same things but have different smells. So I think that's a first step, is just being respectful of how they like to apply them, how they like to use them. You can use oils topically by putting them on. Smelling them is an incredible way to help the mood. So diffusing, if you're familiar with that, I have my diffuser. I always forget which way to turn. Right over here, right over my shoulder, other shoulder.
Mine's right there.
And so we have that pretty much going all the time. And Boone loves to pick lemon's his favorite. So he puts them on. Like, I just kind of let himself lead. So we have lots of oils, and I kind of let him pick, but I'll share with you a few of his favorites. Lemon is one of his favorites. And a couple stories I'll share is he has a really hard time eating in the lunchroom. As you know, it is like sensory overload, like crazy. Yes. The lunchroom is like, can you think of anything else? And so that's one of our struggles still. So we're still working on that. But one of the things that he started asking to do is to put lemon on his napkin, because he wanted something familiar from home. And so lemon was his favorite scent. Of course, you know what a lemon smells like. And it's happy and uplifting. We diffused it a lot. And so he was searching for that, just something that was similar to remind him that, he can feel safe. And that's something that's awesome that oils can do, is the way that when you smell them, they help your brain really create different pathways. So when you use an oil and it makes you feel happy, that's happening on a cellular level. But what's so cool about it is your brain is even faster to create a new pathway to say, hey, when I use lemon, I feel happy. And so then just even the smell, if you take out the chemistry of it, the smell is helping you create that pathway. It's kind of the same as like if you remember your grandma's house. Yeah. You remember like smells or something. So, so it's so great.
So a friend, Meredith, says this is so helpful. My 6-year-old has sensory processing disorder, and I have a ton of oils, but do not really know how to use them to their potential. Well, we'll be able to help you understand how to use them to help with those symptoms, because I know that I don't know, one of the things that maybe Boone has the same reaction. Like we say with autism, Kelsey and I say with autism, when you've seen one child with autism, you've seen one child with autism.
For sure. Yeah.
And I think it's the same with sensory as well. Yeah. But Curtis cannot stand, if you get, when you're trying to sound check and get all the microphones going, and if one of them squeals because somebody points it at the monitor and you told them not to do that.
Yeah, no. Not good.
That squeal sound, if we've ever been around that, a lot of us have heard that. Curtis will actually elope, just take off running because of that, because that sound is just too much for him. Yeah. Does Boone tend to try to do the same thing, or cover his ears or anything like that?
So he has headphones, and the most wonderful thing is that I feel like we caught it pretty early. And so he was occupational therapy, and we just found a lot of, I call them handles that we can helpful handles that we can try. So he had headphones that he would take all the time, pretty much everywhere. Anytime we were in a gym, those are them. We love them. And so he used those all the time. And then two, for him, it's moving. So lots of moving. If people are moving in different directions in a room. And then he loved anything squishy. So like absolutely loved any kinds of, he wasn't huge into like the fidget kind of things, but anything that had that, like mash'ems, so many of those, he would hold on to those during the day and stuff. But, so, and then two, we found out lights to him, especially when he entered school and they had all the fluorescent lights. That was something that we hadn't really dealt with in the home as much.
Right.
But you kind of learn as you go, and then it kind of all makes sense. But yeah, sounds were huge. I mean, he wouldn't even go to the bathroom in public if there was a fire alarm, because he knew, I mean, no matter how many times I said, it's fine, it's not going to go off. They don't go off all the time. That potential would just wreck him.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. No, Curtis got stuck in the bathroom in kindergarten during a fire alarm. Like, I think it was right outside the door and he was in there. And so the sound just reverberated so bad. And he too would refuse to use the restroom and stuff because of that fire alarm.
Right. And one of the things they always told me too, well, smells for him were huge. Even to this day, he'll smell things before we smell things. But one of the most helpful handles that they told me was that basically, like, if we walk into a restaurant, our brain has put all the puzzle pieces together that this is a restaurant. So the sounds, the smells, the taste, the touch, everything about it. And we walk in and our brain is immediately like, oh, restaurant. And Boone's puzzle pieces are just never being put together and just like flying around. And so if you're thinking about all your mind having to navigate to all of those different puzzle pieces and you trying to put them together, that every situation that we can walk into and expect, oh, this is a restaurant, for him to have to pull those puzzle pieces together and navigate them and put the puzzle together. If you think about it that way, it makes sense. I mean, I use that analogy because restaurants were awful. We just didn't even eat out for a while. But we found so many handles, essential oils being one of them. Do you want me to go through like a few of the things that we use on a regular basis for him?
Yes.
Perfect. Okay. So I will share with you a few of his favorites. And like I said, these are great for him, but you might want to try other ones. We are huge doTERRA fans. I'll say that first of all. The type of essential oil that you have is huge. doTERRA, I can go deep into it. I researched it all, but they're the most safe and they're actually the most tested. A lot of universities are using them and testing them. And so anything you put on your body is going to go into your bloodstream, and essential oils are so incredibly adulterated these days. Like you can find them Target, Walmart, Costco, even Whole Foods ones, and nobody's testing them. So, long story short, doTERRA is our choice all the way.
Ours too.
Okay. So,
hands down.
Yes, the first one that we use is Peace, and this is doTERRA's reassuring blend, so that makes a whole lot of sense. Peace is a mixture of oils, and this was the one that he just totally grabbed onto. And whenever he would be completely overwhelmed, so we're talking, I actually rub it on his spine, down the back of his spine every single day. This was a habit one, but to the point where he just couldn't handle. So he was just beyond having an attack and just was done with. Okay. The best place to put it is on the bottom of the big toe. And the reason for that, I know it sounds crazy. I know I thought it sounded crazy too. Like, you're like, you serious, Ashley? And I'm like, what? Yes. It's the reflex point for your brain. So I've actually done studies with putting it like on his wrist, which it's getting into his bloodstream at that point, and putting it on his big toe every single time. He would come home from school sick a lot, just like totally fatigued, run down, and he would come in and he would just like basically fall on the floor. And for a long time, kindergarten, it was the screaming. It was like the slingshot had finally been released. And you would see lots of meltdowns, and Peace is the oil that he navigated to. And this is the only oil, other than copaiba, which I'll tell you about in a minute, that can actually put him to sleep in 10 minutes. So I am really cautious to tell you that this is just something that we've come across.
My husband is like, we need that one.
We have that one.
I was
So
like,
I'm really cautious. I don't want you to hear me saying that it's going to do the same for your child, because I
Right.
am huge into making sure that I don't make some huge claims. Every
Yeah.
kid is different. But
Oh,
for
yeah.
Boone, this on the bottom of the big toe and his weighted blanket and in a dark room, this was the only thing I could find that, like, I think
Wow.
what happened is it settled his body enough that it
Mhm.
allowed him then to fall asleep. And falling asleep is like the greatest thing for him when he gets overwhelmed.
Yeah.
So that's peace. It has
Very cool.
almost all of them that I'm going to share with you tonight have an oil called vetiver in it, and it's
Yeah.
very, very calming for the brain. So something we use now these are copaiba soft gels.
Mhm.
If you know a lot about CBD, you can think about that. If you're going to get really pure CBD, you're going to pay upwards to $100 for the oil.
Wow.
And this does a lot of the same for the same systems, the nervous system and all that stuff. And so
Mhm.
we just these are soft gels, and he's 8, so he can take these now. And when he gets overwhelmed, he gets a headache. It goes neck, head, tummy, like every single time.
Huh.
They're like this size, and
Oh,
he
wow.
just takes them, and they really help calm his whole system down.
Nice.
So that's one. One that he actually tried to steal them from me. He was like, "Mom, do you really have to show these? Like, can I not have them back in my room?" I'm like, "Just let me borrow them for an hour." Tamer is another one. Okay, so
Oh,
this is a
yes.
wonderful way to show you how kids can like self-regulate and
Mhm.
navigate. This is actually a digestive blend, and
Right.
so obviously you have it for the tummy. Um,
Yeah.
but it also has a mint in it, which is really good for any kind of head tension.
Mm.
And he just used it on his head and his tummy one day and attached to this, and he will just go and use them by himself. doTERRA has a whole kids line. I'll just kind of like
Yes.
hold it up. They're
Mhm.
diluted and ready to use, but I think my favorite thing about them is they come with these little like
Yes.
instructions. So he just has
Mhm.
this in
I
his room.
love it.
Isn't
My
it so
teacher
fun?
education side is like, that is so cool.
I know. And
It's
they're the colors that are super fun for everybody. So
Oh,
you will
I
often
love
find
it.
these in Boone's room, in the order of the rainbow, which I'm sure we're all familiar with. You'll just see them lined up in rainbow order. But I love that it gives the kids, like, they can sit once they
Mhm.
read, it tells them, and they're named things like Tamer and Courage and Braver and
Right.
Thinker, things that kids can grab onto and
Mhm.
use. So,
Yeah.
yeah, I
Yeah,
know
I
you've had
actually
some similar stories, so I feel like I've been
I got
talking a ton.
I got the kids blends for my kids too.
Hmm.
Nikki uses the even I mean she doesn't have sensory or anything like that, but she's got a lot of digestive issues, and so she just uses the tamer on her tummy all the time. That which is great. The one that you the one that we kind of got connected over
I say
was
I'll let you talk about this one. It's my favorite.
yes was and I have them too is the adaptive line. Oh my goodness, this line is it's a it's got a lot of calming properties, and there is a lot of science behind this one. I watched a segment by one of the doctors from doTERRA that has done a lot of the research, and I was like scribble, 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 scribble.
It's amazing. I love it. I love it.
I
We need
know.
that research. I love it so much.
Yes. And it is, it is actual research scientifically found that it does help calm you through through the actual different levels. Meredith says, I had no idea about their kids line. I love peace. Yes. Love the kids. And my kids love the little zipper pack. I mean, as soon as I
Oh, it's
got
the
it,
cutest thing.
Curtis ran up to his room and like hid it away, and Nikki come down and she's like, Mom, I want my own set. I'm like, okay.
Every kid needs their own set, right? And
Yeah.
to be honest, I use them. They smell amazing. So that's something that
Mm-hmm.
doTERRA paid attention to is the kids care how things smell.
Oh,
Okay, we
yes, they
adults
do.
can, but they
Yes.
care. And two,
Yes.
they aren't going to use something that doesn't work. So that's the other thing I love about kids is they're
Yeah.
super honest. But yeah,
Mm-hmm.
yay, I love that.
Yeah. But so a mutual friend of ours had seen a post that you had about the adaptive line and how it was helping your son. And we were at a point where we had just gotten here to Tennessee. We were not, I mean, when you move states, one of the things you'll struggle with is trying to get insurance and then get the proper insurance to cover all of the therapies and finding the right therapies that will match with your child because you have to have the right therapist, whether it's OT, speech, ABA, what have you.
Right.
If you don't have a good match, it's not going to work.
Right. Right.
So, we didn't have therapy. He only had so much that we could do medication wise with this ADHD. Things were just stressing him out. And I was like, okay, something's got to give. And so a friend forwarded the post to me, and I saw this. She's like, do you want to get in contact with her about this? I was like, yes, please. So I ordered the adaptive line, and as soon as we got it, he didn't, he's taking, there's a capsule with this one too, and he takes it every single day.
It's good for moms too.
Yes. Right now, I'm actually taking it every day.
It's amazing.
And so I have this one, and he takes it every day. And then if we need to, we will diffuse the oil. I actually have adaptive and clementine going right now in mine. But when he gets, really upset and things are overwhelming to him, I will come up to him, unscrew the top, and just write down, tell him to bend his neck down, and then right down there, I'll just roll that right down, and then right here on where he can smell it, because he's not going to put it on his wrists. That's just, he's a boy.
That's right. Wherever they figure it out, go for it.
Well, and then the other thing is I can actually put these on him whether he likes it or not in those locations, and he doesn't have a choice.
There you go. Yep.
Hey, you got to do what you got to do sometimes.
One of the things we've started doing at night is letters. Like that was something I learned from another mom. So like at night when it's time, we have our oil routine or whatever, and they love it. So we'll do different letters every night on the back, and they can guess what letter it is. So it becomes a game.
Oh, cool.
Awesome.
Yeah.
We have a question about oils for hyperactivity and that kind of a thing.
Yeah. So you're gonna want to find oils that have calming properties to them. I can list off a bunch. There are so many. Some of the common ones are lavender. Lavender has a very quick. It happens quickly, but then it kind of like goes away quickly. So that would be one in the moment to help calm. Right. The other ones I've mentioned a little bit tonight. Vetiver is a huge one. Oh, yeah. That would be one of my first ones for hyperactivity. It is very thick. It's taken from the root of a plant.
Goodness, yes.
And so it has that earthy, real deep earthy tone. And
what was it?
Vetiver, Vetiver is how you spell it.
Okay.
Vetiver. So that would be one of the it's one of my favorites.
Okay.
So good for anxiousness.
It's not in focus when I put it forward. Here, there you go. So vetiver.
Yay.
Yes.
We're big fans of vetiver.
We use that a lot here. I can't diffuse it in my room because it affects me. I have asthma and a ton of allergies. I mean, I had to have eye surgery once, and I went and saw the doctor, and he said, well, made a comment about, so you're allergic to nature. I was like, well, yeah, pretty much. So I have to be careful about what I diffuse. So I can't diffuse this in my room, but I diffuse Serenity and Vetiver for my kids to sleep every night. Yeah.
It's great. And 30 minutes before, it's amazing. Vetiver would be one, Serenity, Roman chamomile, peace we talked about, adaptive, all of those would be really good for calming.
So Jess, I know you were talking about the oils. How does the oils help his comorbidity? Like,
right. The different symptoms of
his autism and his sensory process and his ADHD. How do you find that one just works, or do you use multiple throughout the day? Can you overlap, Ashley? Like, there's a whole, like, I'm actually very curious in how all that works together.
You,
And a
you
quick
didn't take
question
it?
a quick question that we have on vetiver. Can vetiver go right on the skin?
Vetiver definitely can. I dilute all essential oils. Basically, when you're diluting them with a carrier oil, what's happening is you're helping them bind to your skin over a longer period of time.
Right.
So it makes a whole lot of sense to dilute. Some carrier oils would be like jojoba, fractionated coconut oil.
Right.
It's just helping them not evaporate
Right.
and stay with you. So yeah, you can put it right on the skin. We just always want to make sure you have a carrier oil. It also helps with sensitivities.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay, so with the comorbidity of his diagnoses and symptoms, that's where I kind of like ballpark it and figure out what in the world, and that's where you have to kind of figure out what's bothering them in that moment. So if it's the, if it's the audio, if it's he needs a break because he's just too much on the computer, I use adaptive a lot. But I've also used a lot of, I'll use adaptive to roll on, but then I'll diffuse, like during school, I'll diffuse something that will help focus and stay on track. So we're getting then both, or, all of that. And those symptoms are being helped in 2 or 3 different avenues.
I got you.
A huge oil that can do a lot of things is frankincense. So if you're looking for an oil that you're like, it kind of hits every single thing, frankincense is a great one to have along with the rest of them we talked about.
I will never put it underneath my tongue again.
Never.
I
do it every
Jess,
day.
No. I called Jess one day and I was just like, how do I get this taste out of my mouth? This is not okay.
That's also,
awful.
You'll notice the difference in doTERRA's purity because one drop goes a long way.
Yes,
but it's so good for the cells and for focus and for calming. So many of those things. And if you hate it underneath, you can always put it in a veggie cap. You don't have to put it underneath.
Yes.
That's what you know. And I was like, I'll go that way next time. It was
I'll pick that route.
I was like on the phone, and I kid you not, I was taking a paper towel and rubbing my tongue because I was like, I cannot get this taste out of my mouth. It's so bad.
Taste. I'll give you that.
Curtis had his first migraine the other day, and I did the frankincense on the thing.
Yeah.
He would, okay, Mom, I have to have my Sprite right here.
Yeah, you do. You got to have a chaser. You can't just not.
It's so crazy. Boone does it too. Actually, my middle son just did it today too, but I love Boone. I mean, like, if a kid's putting that on the roof of his mouth, that it's actually working. Because there's no way they're going to do that if it doesn't work. And he asks for it now. And I love it. I'm like, great, this is perfect. Let's use, it's another example of how we use plants first. Like that's our first step. And usually we don't have to do anything else.
Yeah. Well, his didn't, the frankincense didn't completely cut it. So I had to do, one of the things that I found, I was reading in one of my books, juniper berry and helichrysum together can be, they called it a migraine interrupter.
Nice.
So I put like a drop of that and some stuff, and I put it on the back of his neck, and he was like, it interrupted it long enough, and I said, okay, hurry, go to bed really fast. Go to sleep.
Right, go to sleep.
And he fell asleep. And then the next morning something happened. He was like, well, Mom said I had to get in bed.
Love that.
So
I see Lisa's question. Is their website with all this information? I will not remember any of this. Yes, it can be overwhelming when you get started, but there are so many helpful, I'll say, handles again out there. So definitely check out doTERRA. They have like information or they call them PIP pages that have like all of them. So just anytime you're interested, Google doTERRA, vetiver, doTERRA, whatever, and you'll see tons of information out there.
Right.
For sure.
Right.
And then
Meredith is asking about the link to order the kids collection.
Yes, I do have a link but I will probably, because I am a guest and because Jessica does this so well as I do, I'll have Jessica send you her link, and we're all a part of the same team. So we're a
Yes.
big, happy team. We love it. It's a great place to order. I will say, if anybody is interested in doTERRA, don't you dare buy retail. Don't buy
No,
it
no,
from
no,
a
no.
store. There's a cheaper way to buy it. It's called wholesale, and it's the only way to buy it, like
Oh, yeah.
literally. So connect with Jessica. I don't know how people connect with you. I'll leave it up to you.
Well, the
After.
best way, we'll get it, but the best way right now is go ahead and drop us an email at info@myspectrumlife.com,
There you
and
go.
that actually gets forwarded to my email. And so
Perfect.
I will
Perfect.
read all of that and be able to help everybody out with any of the questions. I will send you a link. I'll send those links out for everybody to get some orders up if that's what you want. And if another thing we do is if you have or want samples to try, let us know and we will get you out a free sample. Just send us an email and let us know, and that way you can get that sample and see if it works. Because it's just like, I know sometimes different things will work for different people because our body chemistry is different.
Right.
So that's just the way it is. I mean, for me, deep blue and past tense work better for headaches than, say, frankincense or Kelsey's
Kelsey's like,
face.
what? I'm writing this down. I forgot I don't remember the name of the person who asked about there's so much information, but if you're still listening, one of the greatest things too about doTERRA, and especially being our team, is that we're huge on continuing education.
Yes.
So like we are constantly teaching on different subjects, and you have access to our whole team and all of our information at any time, any questions. So I love that.
Yes. Yeah.
All
Kelsey
the
calls.
time.
Yes. Kelsey calls me. She messages, hey, we're there.
It's a new way to do life. It's not a kind of a thing where you're, buying a product in like a purse and you're just going to use it like you always have. Like you need somebody to journey with you. And
yes,
it's one of my favorite things that our team does so well is we want to join on the journey with everybody wherever they are.
that's true. Yeah. And it's so nice to be able to find something that can help with some of those other symptoms that, I mean, just like I found for myself and for Curtis, there was just something else that we needed to give that push to help them. And it's different for every kid, but if you're on the fence, just let us know and we'll send you a sample and you can try it to see if it works for them. Because, just as every child that has ADHD has a different medication prescribed by the doctor because their body is different. That's the doctors. That's the medical.
Right.
We'll use different oils.
Yeah.
So we start there and keep on going. So anything else that you would like to either of us we need to cover?
I think we covered it. Wow. I love the questions. Does anybody else have questions? I love when people ask questions.
I know. Questions are awesome. We love it when people ask questions. Oh, yes. Anything that you can think of, Kelsey? Do you use oils? Have you used oils before as a diffuser in your classroom or anything like that? Or do you know of teachers that do?
Actually, we do. And instead of a diffuser, because I work in an old school building, the AC doesn't really work, so I'll put a fan on, but on the back of the fan, I would dip it in eucalyptus mint, and it would help them focus after lunch. So it relaxed them enough and helped them focus, but it wasn't going to offset my kids' asthma in the classroom and things like that. And then in the morning, I would do orange. Just because I needed everybody to wake up because, hey, it's math and English time. Like, I'm sorry you got to do this at 8 o'clock in the morning, but
we're doing it. Right.
We're doing it. So we do that. And I've actually, in my own personal house, I'm actually using it as natural cleaners. And we actually use air freshener, which does a lot better. And my husband's sinuses have actually gotten a lot better as well.
Wow.
So
Yeah.
great.
Work.
Yep.
So many ways to use them. I mean, we could talk forever, but
Yes, we could.
We
we
could.
won't.
We could.
We won't.
We won't. We won't.
We won't.
All right. Well, Ashley, how can, if somebody wants to get a hold of you,
Yeah.
what is your information?
Yes, you can find me on Facebook or Instagram at livelife.eo, and EO stands for essential oils. So it's livelife.eo. And that's where I do all of my free education and love when people interact, share, tag friends. And that's something too, that if you found me through this, I will make sure you let me know that so I can connect you to with Jessica, because I love us being a team and for us doing this together. There's none of that weird competitiveness. Like, we're here just to help people.
Exactly.
But
We're all about service.
Yes. And you can message me on there. I like, one of my very favorite things is helping people get started who are brand new, that don't know a lot. Cause I remember that feeling. So I love interacting. That's the best place to interact. Also, if you want my email, it's livelife9, the number 9 at yahoo.com. That's another way you can connect with me.
Okay. All right. Okay, Kelsey, it's time to give all ours. Because we've got a paragraph. Of those.
So if you are on YouTube, go ahead, drop down below on YouTube and hit that subscribe button for us.
Yes,
we are trying to get to 100. So if you guys could help us out, that would be awesome.
Yes, baby steps.
Right. But also you guys can find us on Facebook.com/MySpectrumLife, Instagram.com/MySpectrumLife, Twitter.com/MySpectrumLife with the number 1, because we're awesome.
And like we said earlier, if you want any information, if you have any topics that you want us to talk about in future podcasts, just drop us a line at info@myspectrumlife.com. If you would like a free sample of any of the oils, drop us a line at info@myspectrumlife.com, and we'll be more than happy to help you to see if it's something that you can use to help your child or yourself, for that matter. I mean, hey, I put some Adaptive on just before we started. So
Dude, you say it, and I'm like, I'm gonna put some on. Let's do it.
I know. Well, thank you so much, everybody, for staying with us. And as we always say, with a lot of faith, love, and fidget toys, and maybe some essential oils, we'll make it.
We'll make it.
See you later, guys. Bye.
Thanks, guys.